Sirens, Slammers, and Service, a podcast for female first responders by female first responders. My name is Nikki Clucci, and I will be your host. As a former correctional officer in Alberta for almost 2 decades and the founder of Blue Line Fitness Testing, which provides law enforcement fitness testing and first responder wellness workshops, I started this podcast as a way for female first responders to share the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of their daily work. I want to showcase the unique perspectives, skill sets, and personalities that women bring to a first responder career and share their stories. So get ready to laugh your ass off, learn a whole bunch, and be inspired by some pretty badass women. Let's go.
Okay, and I have to start a timer because I will forget, and we will talk for 58 years because I love you and I will just want to talk to you for 58 years. Oh, let's put the stopwatch on. Let's go. Boop. Boop. My Apple Watch did an update and it's fucking pissing me off because everything's in a different spot and I fucking hate it. Because again, I'm 90 years old and don't change.
I don't know anything about anything.
Right. Totally. Okay. All right. Are you ready to go?
Ready when you were.
Okay. Awesome. And Kate, I was going to call you Vanessa Martin. I wrote Martin down. I have to change it to Williams.
You got it.
Wait. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay. So we are going to go in 3, 2, 1. Hey, you guys, we are back. And oh my gosh, today I've been trying to get this guest on the show for probably since I started the podcast, because as soon as I started the podcast, I thought immediately of this absolute rock star. Today, I am joined by Vanessa Williams. Vanessa was a correctional peace officer at the Fort Saskatchewan Correctional Center. She was in corrections for 13 years. She did a stint at the training academy for 3 years. She was also on the tactical team for 3 years. She's a newfie. She's a rock star. She's just an absolute doll. And fuck, she's a firecracker. I'm so happy to have you today, Vanessa. How are you?
I am so good, Nikki. You just introed me like I am the most amazing person. And I love that. Thank you so much.
It's because you are the most amazing person. Every time Vanessa and I see each other, it's like two fucking wild women that haven't seen each other in forever, like meet up and we're like,
We're going to tell each other everything. We try and got to get it all out.
Exactly. The best part was, so Vanessa and I like worked together, and I say that in quotation marks because we would see each other at correction things all the time. I did a stint at the training academy. She did a stint at the training academy. So we kind of crossed over there. We did tax stuff together, but our kids actually ended up going to school together. And so it was like, I think it was like the first day of preschool or kindergarten. And we like looked across the room at each other and we were like, oh my God, our eyes locked. And we're like, yes.
Totally remember that. Oh my God.
Yes, it was the best because then I got to see you regularly at school events and I was like, yes, this is amazing. And Vanessa's husband, guys, I'm going to give him a shout out because I love Ajit. He is one of the funniest guys I've ever met in my entire life, and how he puts up with your shenanigans. But then he's also shenanigans of his own that you two are the best fit ever. Like every time I see you guys together or I see pictures of you and I think to myself, how did she met her freaking match with this guy right here?
I did. He adores you. He's that one, that person that always remembers your name. No matter, like, it doesn't matter where we go. And he'll be like, I totally saw Nikki the other day. And I'm like, you know, Nikki? He's like, yeah, we totally see her like all the time. And he doesn't remember anybody, but he remembers you. And when we get together, it's like, he's embarrassed, but he's also sucking it in at the same time. And it's hilarious because he's like, you guys are so the same. It's almost scary. And I'm like, I know.
I do. I love him. He's just the funniest. He comments on my stuff on Facebook and I'm like, buddy, I love you. Like he's just, his humor is so good and so dry. And like, again, you two are just a perfect match. So you'll have to tell him I say hi today.
I will. You know, I will.
Okay, so let's dive in because you started in 2006 in corrections. I started in 2002. So we kind of like, you started and then we met a little bit later on. But what was it that like first of all, moving into law enforcement, coming into corrections, like what was it that kind of drew you to it and how did you get started in corrections?
Well, it's kind of a long story and I'll try and keep it as kind of curt as I can because it goes back to me being a teenager. So when I was a teenager, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. All I know, for whatever reason, is I wanted it to be in some way, shape, or form with law enforcement. So I grew up in Newfoundland. So initially it was, I'd like to be a part of the RNC, which was the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary. So that's the police department in St. John's. And then as time went on, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I maybe I want to be on like a SWAT team or a tactical team. And then it shifted into like, I wanted to be on a bomb squad. Let me tell you, my mom was not excited when I told her I had interest in that, because I was watching all these shows and it just drew me in. And then as I got older and I hit high school, I'm living in Newfoundland and I love it there. And I will only say good things about it. But I kind of hit a rut in my life. And so my sister had moved away to Alberta and she wanted me to kind of see what else was out there. So she sent me a few like school pamphlets for like Grant McEwen and all those places and Nate. And she sent them to me. And one of them was corrections and another one was like police and security and whatever. And when I read the descriptions of both, or it was always police, it was always policing, but for whatever reason, the description of correction just sucked me in. It was the idea of working in a jail. And I thought, man, that sounds so cool. And also if I, down the road, I could be a probation or a parole. Like there's still so many options. And so I applied in May. I got in June and I left Newfoundland in July and I started school in September in Alberta. So it was a really fast transition, one that I probably wasn't really emotionally prepared for, but no regrets. Best thing that ever happened to me. So I started in corrections, made some really great friends. And then it was like, okay, well now I'm finishing. So now what do I do? I applied at the feds on Meridian Street. What's that called? I guess it's just the pen, like the
max.
The max. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't get any callbacks or anything. And there was a hiring freeze on for a really long time. Right. Like just as I was coming out of school, the freeze had hit. And so I applied and got on as temporary in 2006. And then less than a year into that, then I got permanent and I stayed. So I was accepted at Fort Saskatchewan. Another guard kind of helped me prep for my interview. And he was amazing. Shout out to Brad Curry, even though he doesn't deserve the shout out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he helped me out and made some really great relationships and just loved every minute of it. Like it was a life changer. Opened my eyes to a lot of things. I learned a lot of stuff along the way and learned a lot about myself. Grew a lot during that like 13-year window. And I loved it. I just loved it. And it was an amazing experience. I'll never say it was a bad experience because I really did enjoy all of it, even though there were some bad days and good days.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's how most people sum up corrections actually. Is like, you love it, but it's like, there's some bad days and there's some good days, but the good days are so good and so funny and so much fun. And then the bad days are usually pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, really bad. They're really bad.
Yeah. So how old were you when you came out here then from Newfoundland?
I was 20 and I was hired at the jail when I turned 26.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I know the schooling has probably changed just because it was like 20-ish years ago, but like, what was that program like, the corrections program at Grant McEwen? Like, because I feel like there practicum portions in that program.
Yes. Yeah, there was. So I enjoyed it. Again, not really having a basis to kind of compare it to, but I really enjoyed it. Again, I was very young. I was 20. So they could have told me whatever they wanted and I still would have been like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever learned. But the practicums were definitely the best part. My first practicum was with the Boys and Girls Club. So that was interesting for me because it kind of introduced me to low income housing and to a little bit of a lot of the kids had people and relatives that were in or out of jail, single parent families and stuff. So it was, even though I didn't really understand at the time how this was supposed to help me build my skill set. I look back on it now and now I understand because I was seeing kids come from, not necessarily broken homes, but like single family homes or whatever. And then trying to give them something to bring them some joy, whether it was an after school snack or giving them their supper or taking them to McDonald's or bringing them to a park. And so I got a lot from it. And it taught me how to talk and engage with kids that, maybe had some trust issues, to be frank. Some of them would come in and not want to say anything. It was just, I want you to feed me. I'm going to play on this toy. And then I'm going to go home. And so you had to build relationships. So that was my first practicum. My second practicum was at Halfway House. It was a women's halfway house on the north side. I had a phenomenal supervisor there and I loved it. Oh, no.
No, you're good.
Okay, that's okay. And I loved it. It was great. Getting to engage with women in corrections and hear some of their stories. And again, it was women coming out of the federal system and trying to reintegrate back into society. So that was great. And then after that, I left and I went to the third one. And that one was at a minimum security federal prison downtown Edmonton, Grierson Center. And so while I was at Grierson Center, I also got to experience a little bit of the Edmonton John Howard Society, which was in the same parking lot. So that was an Indigenous minimum security type of thing. Again, lots of interactions with different types of COs. Some still super happy, some super jaded, some liked me, some hated me, some didn't want me to talk because I was young and stupid and blonde and shouldn't have been there. But again, the guys that were nice to me and that actually taught me, I was able to push the other shit aside. I didn't really, you don't have to like me, but if I got someone that's going to teach me and they know I have something to give, I focus on those people. So that was an awesome practicum as well. And then right after I finished school, I ended up working for both Boys and Girls Club and another halfway house, a male halfway house downtown just behind Grant McEwen. And that was kind of, my work up until I got on at the jail. So the practicums were really beneficial, and it also kind of opened doors for me. So it kind of kept me in there while I was trying to get to where I wanted to go, which was in a jail.
I think it is. It's so important. Like talking to people like that have come out of schooling where there was no practicums versus people where there was practicums, and just like the actual, because, and I say this all the time because I did my degree at the U of A. And so years 3 and 4, two practicums through criminology. So one at the Sherwood Park RCMP and one at the Edmonton Young Offender Center. And what you're learning in school, and then when you go and you're actually in the places, you're like, oh, wait a minute. This is not the same as what they said in school, right? And it's like your first kind of like dose of like, yeah, not everything you learn in school is actually what's really happening out here in the real world, right? And so that to me was like, that was a big eye opener too. Because again, I was 22 and I'm like, what do you mean? It's not like they say in school, right? Like, so, and I found it was, and I also thought it was a very good opportunity to like figure out if this was actually something that I wanted to do, because I had lots of friends that were doing different degrees who, same thing, they got to their 3rd year. So they've already put in 2 years of schooling towards, say, education or engineering or whatever. And then they would go do their co-op, or then they would go do their practicum, and they would very quickly realize like, whoa, the reality of this job is not actually what I want to do. And so I feel like those practicum placements are so important, especially for jobs like this, where like you're in the shit, a lot of the time. And so like, if you're not ready for that, or you don't actually think that that's what's going to happen when you get there, and you just get it as a job, and then like a lot of people will bail out in the first 6 months because they go, wait a minute, I did not think that this was what it was going to be like. So yeah, I think those practicums are super important. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you got hired casual then. So like as a wage?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so at the Fort, for our listeners that don't know, so at the Fort, there's 2 different kind of like roles. So there's the correctional peace officer role, actually at Young Offender Center as well. There's a correctional peace officer's role that's more about like security and operations. And then there's a correctional services worker, which is like a caseworker. And they're more for like casework and planning and stuff like that. And so you were hired on the operations security side of things. But when you were working on the units, you were usually paired up with a CSW. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And so how did that play out? Like 2 of you on a unit, like what was the first unit you were on? Did they put you on the female range?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Blue Line Fitness Testing is a premier law enforcement fitness testing and training center based in Edmonton. Specializing in helping individuals prepare for the physical demands of a career in law enforcement, we offer comprehensive fitness evaluations, specialized training programs, and classes tailored to meet the unique needs of our clients. Our facility hosts a range of classes and are committed to fostering a supportive and empowering environment where clients can achieve their fitness goals. Our team includes experienced trainers who bring specialized expertise in law enforcement, self-defense, personal training, and rehabilitation. We engage through our community through challenges, events, and our podcast, and we are dedicated to helping individuals succeed in their fitness journeys and career aspirations in law enforcement. Are you looking to get started with your career? Come see Blue Line Fitness Testing, and we'll get you there.
So it was a mismatch, honestly. Like there was really no like continuity to it, which surprised me initially. And maybe it shocked me a little bit as well. But I think overall it was a good idea, because you can't just work with women if you're working in a jail that's meant for men and women. And of course, Fort Saskatchewan is men and women. And it was a sentence facility. And so like I would work anywhere. I very quickly went from like on-call wage to like still being wage, but then rotated into 6s and 3s and started following a shift. And I found that there were times when I'd spend a little bit of time on a unit, but a lot of the times they would bounce me around. Again, not really knowing if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but again, it exposed me to a larger view of the jail. So I started with women initially. So there was unit 1 and unit 2. It goes unit 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we had the infirmary, unit 10, our mental health unit, and then SEG. And I worked typically 1 or 2, and they were both female units. But I also worked for a period of time on a male unit. I believe it was unit 6 with a guy from way back in the day who I miss dearly. He left pretty early on in his career to move away with his family. And so if you were to ask me like who I preferred to work with, I don't know what my answer is because both of them came with a little something different. So what I liked about working with women is I'm going to say it like it is. They're cleaner. They smell a little nicer.
Yep.
They just want, some of them just want to talk about their kids. Sometimes they want to talk about their boyfriends, but like they just want to engage a little bit. And not really to get anything because it's just women and you really can't get what I've learned is you really can't get anything over on a female CO.
Yeah.
When you're like, and they know that, so they don't even try.
Yeah.
Versus a male unit where you're dealing with like, they're kind of, oogling you a little bit and then they want to test you a little bit and they want to, see if they can get you to, talk a little bit longer. Like I had guys that would ask me for my number when I was doing a round and I'm like, dude, are you kidding me right now? Like, how about 1-800 eat fucking shit? How about that? And so, you're learning how to like navigate that. And it's a really steep learning curve because nothing can prepare you for the discomfort that you initially feel when you're being oogled. And that was something I was very nervous about when I started because I didn't know how I was allowed to address it. Like, am I, do I have to be polite about it and say, you can't talk to me like that? Or can I be like, go fuck yourself, say that to me again, and I'm going to lock you up for 5 days? Like you just don't know. And so it was a very steep learning curve. And I think once you set that boundary right off the hop, it just stopped. Like you'd get a couple of new guys every now and then that would try, but you'd see their guys going, I just don't, you just don't, you don't have to. And so they would kind of take care of that for you later, right? 'Cause you built a kind of reputation. So what I did like about the guys though, is that there was like, there was no drama, maybe a different drama. So gal drama is boyfriends and whatever, but with guys, it was very much like no drama. Like, yeah, we're going to play cards up in the corner. They'll say fuck you because they're mad and then they'll just go down and probably grab a cup of noodles together. Like it's just it's very different. Dudes just let it go, whereas women carry it a little bit more. But I liked it both. But in terms of just where I was comfortable, I think I liked working with the women, especially as I got older. And again, my life changed because when I started, I didn't have kids. Like I didn't have a family. I had a boyfriend that was serious. And we got married shortly after. But then I felt like my personality as an officer changed as my life progressed. So early on, I was the eager beaver. I wanted to be in it. And, oh my God, there's some, I made it to, I guess, back up a little bit there that I really enjoyed working was patrol. And patrol was like a coveted role there. Like you really had to build your way up for them to put you there. And it was often predominantly men because you were a part of the response team. So if there was a code going off anywhere, they needed to have obviously more men than women because let's just be real, men are just stronger. And we had a mostly male jail. And so when I finally got on patrol, I loved it because then I was really a part of the boys. Like I got a different level of respect. I enjoyed the role. It made me feel proud. And you got to, be in on everything. And so that desire to run into every code was just, oh my God, it was just in my heart. Like if it would go off, like I would be the first one out the door. Like it just gave me so much pride and I wanted to be in there. Like, let me in there. Like, let me do the things. And so, but what I noticed is as soon as I started having kids, it was a little bit more, I would go on my mat leave. I came back and I felt it. I felt it the minute I walked in. I felt like I was more of a, all right, let's talk this out because I don't have time to get injured today. So let's avoid a physical altercation. Let's talk this out, figure it out. And then, now full disclosure, if it came to whatever it came to, that's fine. But as long as I knew I could use my verbal skills first to try and de-escalate, that was where I wanted to be because now it wasn't so much about, ooh, I want to get in there. Now it was about, ooh, I really want to go home at the end of the day and see my children. And that's going to involve a whole nother set of skills that I need to be healthy for. And so, it was a really cool learning curve. And that's the growth that I mentioned earlier, like in me as an officer that kind of increased along the way. So when we worked the units, it would be an officer and a CSW. Now, CSW still did the same tasks for the most part as an officer, except they were really responsible for the case stuff. So that means they needed to have private conversations with offenders to talk about, their release plans or whatever the case might be. And so a lot of times, initially when I started, because we were fully sentenced, a lot of those conversations happened in a back office. So on a unit of 59 people, it would be the officer sitting out front alone while the CSW was in the back office with an inmate. Now, we were always in touch. Like, we all had our radios. They had a glass view of the unit, but you worked alone a lot of the time. And so, that was something to get used to, because again, if you're, depending on your comfort level, you still have to go out and do your rounds. And so you had to leave your panel, hand over power to central, let your partner know you're going, but essentially you're out there alone on a unit of 59 doing rounds and talking to people while your officers in the back unit. So you rely quite heavily on your radio for support and hoping that your CSW is paying attention and that central's kind of got your back. And so it's a really interesting dynamic that at the time seemed very normal. But then as that jail changed into a remand to handle overflow and all that, even that changed. So the dynamic changed multiple times throughout my years at the fort.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so for our listeners, the fort was originally set up as a fully sentenced jail. So 2 years less a day, provincial time, fully sentenced jail. So they would come to the remand. I would deal with them. They'd sit and wait. They'd go to trial. They'd get sentenced. Okay, now they're sentenced to 2 years less a day. More than likely, they're getting shipped to the fort, because usually if they did their crime in Edmonton, their family, their support system, et cetera, is in the Edmonton area or central Alberta kind of area. And so they would go to the fort. And so we would do daily runs out to the fort. The sheriffs would come and they'd be picking up and taking off and dropping off. And then at the time that you're working there, 2006, this is right as the remand was hitting way overpopulated, way too many offenders. Remand was meant for 300 and I think 30 inmates or something. And at the time we probably had 500, 600, 700. And then at the end we had like 900. And so, it became not enough people are getting sentenced fast enough because the court system is taking forever. So guess what? The fort, you're now going to become remand sentenced, and you're going to open up a couple of these remand units. We're going to send our overflows. And it was, and I remember being because I was doing a little stint here and there in as a CSW, learning like the casework side of thing, learning the placement, learning, fine op and all that stuff. And for me, it was like, the original idea was we're going to send our like best people out to the fort, because it's a total different layout. There's, like it's more open concept. They have more opportunities. There's more things to do out there. So you had to kind of earn it to go out to the fort. And so it became a coveted, like, oh, I want to go to the fort. I want to go to the fort. And then the fort would be like, if you fuck up, you're going back to the remand. And everyone was like, no, I don't want to go. So I mean, it rapidly changed. It did change multiple times. And then we had like too many PC inmates, like protective custody inmates. So then that became what was getting shipped out there. And then we had, for a stint, I don't even know why, we had a crazy high female count. So then it was like, we're shipping more females to you. And like, I did really feel bad for the fort, because the model that it was built on was not, at the end, before we moved over to the new remand, was not at all what the fort was meant to be. And I really feel like your staff had to take a lot of just a lot of shit on that wasn't really what you guys had signed up for or what the jail was meant for. And it just was because there were so many inmates. And so, I do really like that you kind of talked about the open concept stuff, because for when we did open the new jail, that was a huge thing for our remand staff, was to go from being enclosed in the bubble to now we're going to do open concept like the fort does. And the most hilarious thing was the fort has been around since the 80s. Like I think 1983 was when the fort opened, maybe something like that.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fort has always been open concept. It's always been, the desk is open. The inmates come up to your desk. Like it's always been like that since 1984. We go to open the new jail and it is like, we have invented this new style of corrections. We're going to go open concept, and everybody lost their fucking ever loving minds. And they were like, what do you mean you're going to put us out on the unit with the inmates? And meanwhile, all the staff at the fort were like, hey guys, hey guys, we've been doing it for like 30 years, guys. Like, it's not that bad. And Edmonton Young Offender Center, same thing, built on open concept. All the
Yeah.
staff at EY were like, hey guys, calm your tits. It's not that bad, right? Like, Reman was losing it. The staff where I was getting told, because I was teaching it, right? I was
Mhm.
getting told, you're going to get us killed. We're never going to go home to our families. We can't do this with remand inmates. Yeah, it works at the fort because they're Fort Resort. And I'm like, they're not. There are
We're
fucking people,
remand.
guys. Like, that unit is literally fucking 3 Charlie. We just took all of 3 Charlie and moved it over to the fort. Like, you
Yeah.
can't tell me that on the bus ride from the remand to the fort, they became entirely new inmates. Like, what the fuck, right? Like, ridiculous. But
Oh, so good.
and I want to come back to your kind of comment on patrol, because patrol, we call it obviously the response team, but for those of you that aren't aware, patrol at the fort, it's a very big spread out compound, right? So lots of space in between the ranges and in between the units. And so, like, if you're on patrol, you have to go out, get in a van and drive across
Yeah.
the compound to respond, or run across the hockey field,
Yeah.
or like the
Oh, boy.
field, right? And like, so like, response is a big deal out there because you are far away, right? And even when
Yes.
I'm teaching now, when I run the COPAT for corrections, I talk about, like, you will be in a fight. You could be in a fight in a corner cell with an inmate for up to 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes waiting for the
Yeah.
response team if you're working at the fort, because they got to load out, they got to get in the van, they got to drive across, and then they got to respond. And people,
Yes.
when I say that, they're like, oh my God. And it's like, yeah, man, like, there's a reason you need to be fit for this job, because
Yes.
you could be scrapping and waiting and hoping that response team is coming, but God knows how long it's going to take them to get there.
That's
It's
right.
winter time, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 And like, again, I agree with you. I think the as we grew up in corrections, because you and I both did, right? We both
Yeah.
grew up in corrections. I
Yep.
feel like I changed as well from that, like, let's fucking go, let's be in everything, let's be in all the shit, right? To like, you know what? I don't really feel like scrapping today. So
Yeah.
actually, guys, how about we fucking knock it off? And I've said this multiple times on the podcast too. Also, after having kids, I just became a parent to everybody. And so, like,
Yep.
inmates were being fucking stupid. And I would, like, my mom mode would like kick in. I'd be like, are you
Yes.
serious right now? Are we
Yep.
actually having a fucking temper tantrum right now? And they would be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yes.
They
And
love
I'm
it.
like,
They loved it.
yeah, we just become a bitchy mom. And then they're like, oh God, okay, sorry, mom.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, oh yeah. And it worked. I think we did play a kind of mom role. And I think a lot of the inmates kind of appreciated, like, I know I felt it a few times, especially with some of the mental health gals, because
Mhm.
we didn't have a mental health unit for our women. So like our 2 units of women, I mean, I want to be honest and just call it what it is. I would say probably 50% of them had some mental health issues, whether it was related to addiction, related to like their parents, whatever.
Mhm.
And so like all these like young gals would come in and lose their minds. And then you would go, okay, let's sit down. And then like I would go over and sit down on the stairs and be like, okay, you can't do that. And they go, I know. And I'm going, but you're really causing a problem. All these gals are getting really upset with you. I know. Do you think you can stop doing that? Because if you don't stop doing that, they're going to beat the shit out of you. And I don't know if I'm going to be there in that moment to protect you. So you need, and they would be like, yeah, I'm going to be better. You're right. I'm good. Thanks. And then they go and it's like, okay. And it worked. And
Yep.
so that's why I really enjoy the verbal piece, right? Like, again, I didn't put much effort into it until I really learned how to do it properly when I started to have kids of my own. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's true. It's true. Those skills you kind of acquire. And I think also it comes from, like, even just talking to so many different inmates. Like, the first year or two, you're just like, fucking, like, what am I doing? Oh my God. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many problems and everybody always has a problem. And how do I solve all these problems? And do I even know the answer of where they're going to find this next court date, or where their property went? Or, like, so you're dealing with, like, the day-to-day, like, crap, right?
Yep.
And then you start to learn how to, like, actually talk to them and, like, again, have those conversations of, like, do you think you're making the best choice right now? Do we really want to do that right now? Because look around, look at how the unit is being,
Yep.
like, you've created this. So if you would
Yes.
like to get the shit beat out of you, we're going to continue on this path, or we're going to smarten up and we're not going
Yep.
to be an idiot. What do you think?
100%.
And
100%.
exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, probably. No, I don't really want to get beat up. No, I know you don't. And I also don't want to do the paperwork. So if we could not have you get beat up.
Yes.
That would be great. Can we
That would be
make sure
great.
that doesn't
I'd
happen?
love to go home on time tonight. That would be great.
Yes, exactly. I swear to God, the amount of times I've said that. I swear if one of you motherfuckers wrecks me going home tonight on time,
Yes.
I'm going to be fucking furious. And they're like, okay, Miss T.
Yes. Yes. And they got it. Sometimes they really did get it. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So then what was the, like, did you going to the training academy? Because I know when you went, that was when it had merged with like, so it was corrections and sheriffs and they were both classes were together, merging together. Cause a lot of the training we were doing was the same kind of thing, drill and fitness and control tactics and things like that. What kind of led you to go to the training academy? Was it like, just, looking for something new, or was it like, what was that?
I think for me, again, so after, I guess it's important to note that when you're in corrections, it's shift work. I'm sure everybody on this podcast knows what that's like. It's shift work. And once I had the kids and they were babies, it didn't really matter if I was home on Christmas morning at 7 a.m. My kids, they were babies. They don't know I'm there. But I very quickly realized I'm missing stuff. Like I'm starting to miss things. Like I wouldn't be able to go watch my 4-year-old at their soccer game because I was on evenings that week or whatever. And that really started to bother me. The other piece is that when we did training, and again, like I know, older staff didn't really enjoy training. They thought it was, too long and a bit of a joke and whatever. But when you're new coming in, you don't know what it is. And you just eat everything with a spoon. If someone tells you that this, you're like, okay, I'm doing it. And so when my DDO said, we're putting you in, that was before I was even permanent. I was stoked. I couldn't wait. It was a 4-week program at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a class with lots of the gals that you worked with, made some really great friendships, met a few people that didn't like me and I didn't like them. I digress. And so, but I felt so passionate about it. Like I loved every second. I loved that my body was sore every single day. I loved that I was grappling with dudes on the ground. I loved that I was able to punch and kick and fist fight and do like with people that I trusted. Like it really, like it just kind of solidifies those relationships, right? Because you have to trust each other because you could really hurt each other. And so I loved it. I loved how it made me accountable to my team. I loved how it helped me improve my fitness. I loved how it made me feel at the end of the day. I thought that 99% of it was very, very relevant and applicable to my work. And so when I left there, the instructors at the time, they really made an impact on me. So shout out to Sean Carter. He's still in my heart. Like I still, whenever I see him, we hug each other. Like we saw each other just yesterday and we're grappling on the floor. And he is just such a wonderful person. And so I enjoyed it. And so when I left there, they invited me to come role play. So when we started doing when they started incorporating live interactions scenarios.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started. So then I became not a baby there, but I became a part of the training team, not necessarily in that capacity, but I would be able to witness people at their best and at their worst, because that's when you really get to see how people work. Like what are they going to run? Are they going to fight? Are they going to cry? Like, what is that? And we're obviously looking for those people that are going to fight and make it, make it through it and protect their partner, protect themselves, etc. And so when I was called back to do that, so I would do that probably a couple of times a year. And then because back in the training academy at the time, it was like a hub of the same people running the training, and it was for years. Like so, Sean Carter, Duck, Barry, all those. Oh, I love them all.
Yeah.
And so they were the guys that were always there, and then they started to transition, and then some of those guys started leaving, and then they decided that they wanted to make it more of a secondment type role, because you don't want someone that's out of the work for such a long time, still delivering the training. You want people that have fresh stories, fresh set of eyes. They're seeing the new type of criminals that are kind of coming through our doors. Yep. And so when that happened, I'm like, oh my God, I can stay as a jail employee, but I get to go on a secondment and do all the things that I loved doing while training people. And so that's how that started. So it went from a scenario person and then applying for a secondment and then getting the secondment. And so I was there. I was there for it was just over 3 years, because the secondment kicked in after I'd gone there, because that was when the change started to roll out. And I loved it. Oh my God. The team of people that were there when I got there were phenomenal. Like they were just phenomenal. So they had the structure was a sergeant, And then you had like a group of instructors that worked under you. So there were, I think, 3 or 4 sergeants, and then all of them had like instructors underneath them. And we worked collaboratively. Like some would run CPOI classes, some which were community policing. Some, some would do sheriff's classes, some would do corrections classes. And then sometimes we would all do a little bit of everything. And so you were teaching like in class stuff, like you're teaching them about use of force, and you're teaching them about, de-escalation, and you're teaching them about what they're going to see and how they're going to engage and who you're responsible for and the eyes that watch you and all those things. And then you get to teach them the physical component at the same time, trying to encourage them to better themselves physically, because, you'll get people that are coming in at their fittest, and you're getting people that are coming in at 38 and 300 pounds. And the interview, they aren't going to weed you out at the interview process. And so you really have to pull your weight there. And so you really get to see, again, how people are able to kind of navigate that. The ones that want to dig in and do better and get better. And then the ones that are like, no, I'm good. I think I'm just going to maintain my status quo, and I'm just going to, swim my way through this, and I'm not going to make any changes. I'm just going to do what I got to do to get out of here. And so for the most part, I would say it was mostly rewarding. It was also hard at times, like dealing with the politics of something like, a recruit that comes through that's pregnant. Like, how do we deal? How do we deal with that? Like, we can't tell them they can't come, because that's a human rights issue. But like, how do we keep them safe? Because, oh my God, if they get hurt, oh my God, like to the person that, to their partner that may accidentally hurt them, to the instructor that watched it happen and didn't stop it fast enough, like that, the mental weight of that. And so there was lots of stuff to deal with and grow through while we were there. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed my time there. So it served 2 purposes. 1, I got to do something that I really enjoyed. And 2, I was off shift work. It was like a vacation for me, because it didn't feel like work. It was so enjoyable. And so, yeah, I really, really liked it there. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the training academy was fun. I was always just kind of like the fill-in instructor or the fill-in role player. Like my time was like, hey, we're short on this course. Can you come? And I'd be like, yep, sure. Or like, hey, we're short with this, like whatever, just this one section. Could you come? Yep, sure, no problem. And same thing. I loved it. I loved being able to be part of something to like actually mold the officers into what I knew they needed to be. Because for me, that was a big thing too, is like, when I went, so like, because it was 4 weeks when I went to, but mine was a joke. Mine was like a literal joke. It was, we didn't do control tactics. It was just like 4 weeks of classroom is basically when I went. And I went in 2004. And so then to go back and be like, okay, wow, I wish I had learned all this stuff when I came here, because I didn't learn shit. Like, I really didn't learn shit, guys. And so I wish I'd learned this. But then to also have been like, by that point, because I think I was at the training academy like 2009, no, 2010, 2008, I don't know, somewhere along there. But to go like, okay, I have done enough. Like I've done, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of corrections now. I've pretty much seen and done most of it. I'd been on TAC by that point for 2 or 3 years, right? Like, and I was like, no, guys, this is real shit. Like, let me tell you what it's actually really going to be like, because some people were coming in and they worked maybe like a month or 2 at the jail, and they were going to, CSIT or APORT or whatever the fuck it was called back then, because it's gone through 28 names. Right. But like, they were going to the training academy to do whatever the fuck they were doing. Right. Some of them had been, working for 2 years. And so they'd seen a lot of stuff. Right. And so it was like, again, navigating that, like some of them knowing, yep, like this is real. And some of them being like, eyeballs, like, what do you mean? Why are you dealing with this? And it's like, yeah, man, like this is for real. Like, and yeah, maybe you'll only do it once in your career, but you better be fucking ready for it for when it goes down. Because when it goes down, it's going to go down fast, and it's going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Right. So yeah, I really did like that. And being able to like send them back knowing that I'd given them something that was going to help them as they went through the rest of their career. I really enjoyed it. And again, not just all the physical stuff, like the verbal de-escalation and like, let's talk them down and, what do we need to do? And we can't be jacked up. We've got to remain like, at that low level so that we can bring them down to that level. And I thought all of that was really fun too. So, and so then TAC. So tell me about TAC, because again, being who we are, right? Like that was ultimate goal too. Before I even got in, I was like, I looked at policing. I was like, I'm going to be on the SWAT team. I'm going to be on I'm going to be on those teams. And so then when I got to corrections and realized that they had this like tactical team, I was like, I'm going to be on that team. And everybody around me was like, yeah, the fuck you will, midget, like girl, like
Yeah.
you're not making that team. And I was like, fucking watch me make this
Yeah.
team. I'm going to make this team. And so again, I think you guys had a couple more females though. You weren't the only female, right?
So at the time, there was two other females. So there was Laurel Buchan, who was the first female in the province to be on the tag team. And she set the bar. God rest her soul. And then at the same time, there was one other gal. And then it was me. And then after me, it grew and it grew and it grew. And so it remained consistent that they tried to keep a certain number of women on the team, because
Awesome.
having one didn't really make sense, because if we were responding to a female unit, leadership started to figure it out, like maybe we need a more female focused group so that when we're dealing with women, there's less issues with use of force, because women, again, you have a big, strong man coming in dealing with a
Yep.
woman versus a team of women coming in to deal with a woman. And so
Yeah.
I really like that they made that change. And so, yeah, now I think they maintain at a minimum 3 to 4. At least when I left, it was 3 to 4.
That's awesome. And so for you, TAC, because you guys, we would do like cross exercises sometimes and get together, and we'd go and we'd do like a big like mass, like OT, 2 teams called out, like, and that type of stuff. But what was it like for training for you guys? Were you guys weekly, monthly? Like, how did that look for you?
So TAC training was weekly. We used to do it every Wednesday. Now, laying it all out, to be real, I would say the first few, I don't know, maybe the first 6 months, it was a lot of, because again, it was a big boys club, and it was a lot of like senior officers, like dudes that were like 50 and 60 still on TAC team, right? And so again, they were all tough. Believe me, I wouldn't have wanted to go toe to toe with them, but they were like an older generation, and they didn't want to be going in and putting on the gear and doing all the things. So we would do a lot of sitting. We would look at videos in our TAC room. We'd go through our gear. We'd tell stories. We do those things. So then once a month at minimum, we'd go in, we'd dress in the gym, or we would dress in the TAC room, and then we would like do our marching, right? So like kind of doing our lines, moving our lines. And then every now and then they'd let us shut down one of the female units. And then we would go in and they'd let us shoot off some flashbangs and some blank pepper rounds or whatever. And then we would sweep entire units. And those were so fun. They were so exhausting, but they were so fun, because you would leave the TAC room. And so again, the TAC room was up like toward the front of the building where the pedway is. And then again, because of the layout of Fort Saskatchewan, all the units are separate, and there's like a walking path between every single one. So like we would dress, and then we would breach the door, and we would make our line, and we would basically like walk in our formation, and then enter a unit, and then start our sweep. And so they would teach us how to kind of, they would cut us off in half and then tell us who we're supposed to be listening to. And we would, do all the, clear, not clear, whatever, those kinds of things. And then, we would do a big debrief after, and we would all be sitting down with our gear on. And then, everyone would have the marks on their face from like the masks, and everyone's like trying to get water. But it was, again, such a really amazing bonding experience for everybody, because we would all be drenched in sweat. And it's so serious. Like, it's so serious when you're in there. And they would let other guards like come in and be inmates, like, air quoting inmates. And they would they'd be hucking toilet paper rolls or water bottles or cups. And you're using your shield, and you're cuffing and dragging. And it was really, really fun, a really great learning experience. And then I feel like it kind of kept getting better after that. Some of our leaders at the time, like, because we were getting such new people kept coming in, some of the guys started stepping down, and then we really needed that. Like, we really needed to do those lines. The training that we went to, I think, was like, I can't remember if it was a week long or 2 weeks long. I feel like it might have been a week.
At the training academy?
At the training academy,
Yeah.
And so like the first couple of days were just like, it was just the in-class stuff. And then that was when they sent us down to the remand, and we were down working in the old remand center. And that's when we would pair up with like other teams would come in, and it would just be this gong show of just, everything about it. Like, you would just walk in and you could feel it. And like, everybody's kind of vibrating a little bit. And like, but now it's worse, because now they've got like traps set up. They've got like, blankets tied on stairwells. So now you have to navigate. How do you get under it or over it when you have a lineup of people that are trying to get up, or if they're standing up there trying to, attack you while you're on the stairs, and you got your team pushing you into it behind you because you have to go forward. And that feeling of like, okay, well, I guess I'm going. And they're like pushing you so hard from behind. So all of
Yeah.
it was it was such a good experience. Really, really amazing. I will say I had one not great experience just as an onlooker, and it wasn't my group, but there was a woman from another, I think she was from Peace River or whatever, and she was a female on her team, and she got rocked. She got rocked really hard. So there was one or two officers that would come in and role play for us, and they didn't role play for the sake of learning. They role played to prove a point, and the point was, you as a woman can't make it. You shouldn't be here, and here's why. And they would essentially just go 100% on us. Now, let's be real, Nikki. I like to think I'm a tough bitch, and I know I'm a tough bitch. But if you put a 200-pound man in front of me, he's gonna beat the shit out of me. I'm not a ninja, and so I need to know where my boundaries are. And so, I saw her get pushed so hard, her head in her helmet smashed up against the concrete walls, because that's what they were, and she was dazed and had a concussion. And it was just one of those eye openers for me where I'm like, there's some real shitty people in corrections as well. So while I love the majority, there was a couple that I fucking could have done without. And that if I saw them on the street, I wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. I was the same. My team was like 99% of them were fucking absolute rock stars. Guys, I would ride or die. Absolutely. The reason I felt comfortable on the team being as small as I am was because, you want to fucking throw down, let's throw down, because I might be little, but I will put up one fuck of a fight.
That's right.
And I know that I have my team behind me, boys, girls, whoever the fuck it is. It doesn't matter what gender they are. I know that as a team, we are fucking stronger than anything that we're going to face together. We've
100%.
trained together. We fucking trust each other. We have each other's back. So it doesn't matter. But I had the exact same thing, and it wasn't me, but I saw a male member of our team fucking absolutely annihilate one of the other female members. And they did it because there was somebody. So we used to train in the gym, and it used to be closed off. So if TAC was in there, because the like weights and like the treadmills and stuff were up on the stage. So if you were a staff member, you could go and work out at lunch in the gym or whatever. But when TAC was in, you weren't allowed to. But for whatever reason, there was somebody up on the stage working out, and the male staff member clocked this guy working out and was like, "Oh, I'm going to fucking show," and just fucking hammered this female member. And again, this is a guy, like, huge dude, like 6'6", 300 pounds, and he fucking annihilated her. And I thought to myself too, I was like, you're a fucking piece of shit. Because I thought to myself, if that was me on the shield, I would have gone even further. She was bigger than I was. I would have gone fucking like flying. But also that's not fair, because that's not how it is. We don't stack a shield up by themselves and let a fucking inmate run at us full tilt and just hit the shield. Like, it's never like that, right?
Never.
And I just was like, I was so mad, and she was so embarrassed, and she was so upset and so frustrated. And I just felt so bad for her, because I was like, they basically set you up to fail.
Yes.
And then, of course, this person that's on the stage is working out, went out and was like, "Oh, you did, gossip." And I was like, fuck you, because that's not how TAC works. And that's not, we would never, ever do that. So why would we set this up in training to be an absolute fail? Like, I totally had that same experience. I agree. But the other side of it, totally fun. Yeah. Flashbangs, fucking OC, like riots, bring it on. Like, I loved every single second. I was like, yes, please, let's go. And then when I became a DDO, that was my other thing too, because they would never use us, right? Like, using TAC was like such a big deal. It was like, we did all this training, and then something would pop off, and they'd be like, well, we could use TAC, but we're not going to. And we're like, fuck you guys. Like, we did all the training. Like, let's go. Right. And so as a DDO, I was like, the second it was a green light on the little fucking flow chart of like, do we use TAC or not? I was like, yes, check, right? Like, we're using them, because, and like, the other thing was, for like the times that I did use them and did authorize them, and I got my PP slapped a couple times for it, because it was like, well, you shouldn't have made that decision. Well, fuck you, bud. I was here on the Friday night and you weren't. So guess what? I made the decision, and guess what? It turned out okay, and the inmate's alive. So let's go with that. But when I did use them, they are extremely professional. They are like very good at what they do. They go in, they fucking mitigate the threat, they get rid of it, and it's done. It's in, done,
Yeah.
and out in fucking
Yes.
5 minutes versus what would have turned into a 3-hour goddamn fiasco with the jail locked down. And then we've got fucking inmates arguing and fighting because they've been locked down for 3 hours. Why the fuck have we not authorized TAC to come in, do what they're trained to do, get in, get out, fucking get it done, and we move about our business? Like, totally. TAC. Love it. My favorite part too. My favorite part. Okay. And so because then we transition to 2018, you make the huge decision. And I know we kind of talked about it as you were going, and it was like, I'm pulling the pin, I'm leaving. And I was like, what? I'm going to Red Deer. Oh my God. Like, what's going on? Like all these big changes. So what kind of led you to like, be like, you know what? It's time for a change. It's time for me to go.
So it was a bit of a crossroads actually at the time, because so now I'd been at the training academy for 3 years, and now I'm getting older, and my body's getting a little bit older. My back is hurting, physical control and then physical activity all the time. And so, and my secondment was coming to an end. And so I'm like, okay, now I need to figure out where I'm going to go next. So they had posted for a CO3 competition at Fort Saskatchewan. And I thought, well, I might not get it because, when you leave, it's like an unwritten thing, right? When you leave, it's not like people hate you. It's not that. It's just they don't look at you the same. You've left us now. You're not necessarily one of us. So in my mind, I just thought to myself, I'm going to throw my name in there anyways because I can, and I'm still in corrections. And so that was posted. And then all the while leading up to the end of my secondment, I just started checking the GOA website, right? Trying to figure out just to see what else is out there. Now, the kicker is in my brain, I thought, I'm never getting out of corrections. Corrections is not transferable skills. We're only looked at one way, like a bunch of apes that go around beating people up, even though that's literally not our job. And so I started looking for other areas. The problem was I didn't know how to look. So I would just type in officer, search, and see what would pop up. And so I ended up applying for a position in a different ministry, and it was totally separate from corrections, had nothing to do with anything to do with corrections. And so I just hoped for the best, threw my name out there, went for it. So I was in the process of doing the interviews for the outside of the ministry. And I had done the CO3 interview, and I was waiting and then it was like, okay, well, if they offer me the job before I finish the interview process for the other one, because it was like a 3-part interview, then I'll take it. But if they don't, then I'll just keep going with my interviews over here. And then whatever happens, happens. And so it just so happened that like the CO3 competition took a really long time. And it kind of got weird at the end. Like I had someone reach out to me and be like, are you sure you want it? And I'm like, I don't even know why you're asking me this question. I put my name in. I've done the interview. I don't know what you want me to say right now. So don't talk to me unless you're offering me the position. The end. And so that was the end of that conversation. And then I finished the rest of the interview process. That's how long it took for them to make their decision, I guess. And then this place offered me the job. They called and offered. I remember I was at the academy. I was in the padded out room downstairs across from the sergeant's office. And we were doing scenario training, as a matter of fact. And we were in between scenarios and my phone rang and I grabbed it and they offered me the job and I took it. And for me, the big reason that I took it was the shift work. My kids are older. They were like probably, I guess back then they were between like maybe either 8 and 10 or like 9 and 11. Like they were in that area where a lot of the growth is really starting to happen. They're getting into extracurricular activities. They need a little bit more help with school stuff. And I wanted to be there. And I thought, I don't want to give up Christmas because I want to watch my children open their gifts. I want to be there. And so again, the way seniority works in a jail, and I still 100% agree with it to a degree, is that when you've done your time and you're the senior person, you deserve to have your Christmases off. The problem is that I also feel bad as a parent that if I have small children, that person that is, 50 years old and doesn't have kids still gets to have Christmas with his family, but or hers, but I don't get to have it with mine because I'm lower on the totem pole. And so that was really hard to take because I was done and I knew I was never, whether I have to book it as a sick day, whether I had to fucking take a leave, I was never going to miss another Christmas with my children ever again. And so, and then I took it, and it was hard to leave because again, I loved the people I worked with at the academy and I missed all the people that I worked with at the fort. and I missed the camaraderie. I even missed listening and talking and chatting and learning about the inmates. Like, it was interesting. It didn't mean that they were my best friends, but it was so interesting to hear their stories and what they've gone through, and to kind of change your perspective on looking at them a
Yes.
certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good change. No regrets. But there's not a day that goes by where I don't miss the camaraderie that was working with people in corrections, because it's such an intense relationship you have with people, because you
Mm-hmm.
really feel like the fact that I have your back and you have mine changes the entire dynamic of that relationship.
Yes.
We're not just friends that are chatting at the coffee pot. It's like, okay, I'm going to go do my round, and I'm trusting that when I turn my back and I walk around that corner and you can't see me, that you're watching that corner to see how long it's going to take me to walk out.
Mm-hmm.
And I experienced that, and I felt that, and there's really something special about it. You know, you really do feel like you would lay down on the ground for those people, and that's a special feeling.
That is probably the best way I've ever heard that summed up, because that's exactly right. Like, I always say, ride or dies, but that's exactly right. Like, I am trusting you that I'm going to go up and do this, and I'm going to be out way far fucking away from you, and there's 72 of them, and there's fucking one of me, and I'm trusting that you have my back, and that you're not going to be distracted, and that you're not going to, and you do. And it's not like you do that once. You do that every fucking hour, every shift, right?
Yeah.
And every fucking time you walk on that range, or every time a fucking inmate comes up to the panel, like, it's every single interaction. You are in that potential that it could go fucking real south real fast. And so, I totally agree. The camaraderie, and like those people, again, like, before we started recording, you said, like, are you still talking to anybody from corrections? You still in contact? And it's like, not in that, where we see each other, but anytime I meet up with people or run into them at the store, it's like an instant connection again. And I'm like, oh my God, like, how are you? How's your kids? Like, oh my God, like, and we're just right back into it, because those are people. And there's something to be said again about spending every Christmas with those people versus with your family, right? Like, they become those people that you can commiserate with, live like, my kids are opening their presents right now with dad, and I'm fucking here. Like, this is balls, but I get you, right? So, and I totally, after leaving, I refuse to work a stat holiday, a long weekend, a whatever. Like, just the other day, it was like, oh yeah, Canada Day is in the middle of the week. Like, are we going to work? And I was like, no, we're not. And somebody was like, yeah, but it's like a Wednesday. And I was like, I don't give a shit. Do you know how many fucking Canada Days that I've worked and not been able to go to the lake, to the barbecue, to the fireworks, to the whatever, to just not fucking be at work? Like, no, we're not working on Canada Day. And it was like, oh, and I was just like, sorry, I know that was quite a bit of like an intense reaction to that, but like, no, like, I just refuse to do it, because after missing so many, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not missing anymore, because you missed so many. So absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, so I'm going to want to wrap up, because again, you're on your day off, and I've totally stolen time from you and from your family. And so love you. Thank you for being on the pod. But I like to wrap up with rapid fire questions. And so we're going to take you back. You can pick any time in your career, but what was your favorite food or snack when you were at work?
Okay. So when I started at the jail, I wasn't at my fittest. I was okay, but I wasn't at my fittest. And so I quickly started going to the gym. I started using the jail gym. So I would say during a regular shift, just a regular shift, during the day, 7 to 3, 3 to 11, it was always just like fruits or vegetables. Full disclosure, big nerdy, whatever. And my coffee, because if I didn't have coffee, I didn't worky. But on the night shift, it was straight up gummy candies, bags and bags of gummy candies, because the sugar would hype me up, which I learned later, you also crash. So like, then I'd have to eat more candy. And so, it was gummies. It was definitely gummies.
I love it. It's so funny, because the amount of people that say that's their thing is gummies. It's so funny. They're like, but it's because it's easy. It's easy. They're sugar boost. They're portable. They're quick. You can chew them fast. Like, gummy candies.
Delicious.
Gummy candies. I do. Yeah, I do like them. Okay. Number 2. And so you kind of touched on this a little bit, on kind of like, what was your favorite place to work? And you said, you couldn't really give it one, but what was your favorite kind of like position within the jail then?
So some might think it should be when I was an acting CO3, like when I would do the acting stuff. But you know what? It actually it wasn't. It was just being a CO. It was just sitting on a unit with my partners, chewing the fat, getting to know each other, and then just engaging engaging with the inmates. And again, it's not like we spent hours chatting with these people, but like when you could have a conversation with someone and they could walk away from it feeling good, it makes you feel good, because that could have gone another way. Like maybe they were mad and then I say something that triggers them and they stay mad and throw a tantrum. So I enjoyed being on the units, in it, and just being with my partner. Again, there's just something to be said about how that feels. There was also one other time, and I covered off in the security office for a brief stint, and I was able to chat with gang members. And I would say that would probably be my very quick second, because again, listening to their stories and how they got into gangs, phenomenal.
Yes.
Just an amazing experience.
I totally agree with you, because I always say, and I've said it so many times on this pod, my biggest regret was moving up, because if I would have stayed as a frontline officer, I probably still would be there, because to me, that was the most rewarding too. It was the easiest job. It was the most fun. Go out, talk to these people, again, hear their stories. Like sometimes wild stories. And you think to yourself, how the fuck is this person still alive? Like after all of the things they've been through, like how are they still alive? It speaks to like the resiliency of the human, like of a human being. But just even like some of their shit is so funny. Like the stories they would tell, I would just be like howling, like what? Like ways they got arrested, or like stupid shit they did, or like when they were high, right? Like just funny shit that you're like, wild. Like you walk away and you're like, I live a very vanilla lifestyle.
Yeah, we do.
Like totally. So yeah, I agree with you. The frontline stuff. And yeah, I did a little, not in security, but as a DDO, having to do down in Red Deer, having to do a lot more of like investigations and stuff, and talking to people and like hearing even just like the breakdown of the gang and like what each level was, and like how this level doesn't talk to this level, and this level is not allowed to know who this level is, and this level is responsible for this but not this. Like it was fascinating. Like again, I was like, wow, like this is a lot more organized than the general public knows. Like it's a lot. And then having had, because I actually had somebody on the podcast who did a little bit in organized crime, and like talking to them, and they're talking like high level organized crime, and they're like, oh, you would not believe how organized it is. It's like one of the best run businesses. Like if you were to take a Fortune 500 company as like, Apple, and how that's ran, and then how one of the top organized crime syndicates is ran. And she's like, the parallels are insane in how they, and I was just like, that's crazy. Cause you think inmates, bad guys, cons, fucking
they're
drug
dumb,
dealers. You think,
whatever.
right. Yeah. You think they're kind of dumb. And then it's like, no, man, like there's a reason that they're operating at that big scale, and that they're able to do what they can do. And it's because they're fucking smart, like real smart. So yeah, definitely like that. Okay. And then the last one I have for you is, what is a piece of advice that you would give to somebody that's kind of looking to get into a career, looking maybe to go to corrections, or to go kind of into that first responder role?
Oh boy, that's a really great question. I think it needs to be a considered choice. Like, again, as corrections has gone on and the longer I was in it, I would see more and more people come in with no life experience. Like they just left school, or they hadn't even gone to school, and then they just transitioned into jail because, again, the turnover's high. So it is fairly easy to get into corrections as long as you don't completely bomb an interview. And so what I always suggest is know what you're getting into. So know all of it. Know a little bit about everything. So be aware that it is going to be shift work. You are going to miss things. It is still a male dominated field, and it's progressing, but there's still stuff that needs to improve and get better, and to go into it for the right reasons. I'm not saying go in there with your rose colored glasses thinking you're going to fix everybody, because let me tell you, you're not. But go in there with the idea that if I can leave a positive impression on anybody, that might stay with them 6 months down the road, a year down the road, you're never going to know. But that should be the reason you're there. I'm not there to judge. I'm not there to do anything other than keep these people alive, give them something positive, and then hope that they take one thing I said, or one thing they've learned while they've stayed in this jail, that they're going to take it away. And it's a thankless job. So be aware that you're never going to get a thank you. You're never going to get a good job, because the job is the same every single day. You might have someone that's going to get released and it's going to get replaced with somebody else. They might like you. They might hate you. You're not going to change anyone's life. You're just there to kind of maintain control and keep everybody safe. And if you're going in with any other ideas in your mind about what you're going to accomplish, then you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. So just understand what you're getting yourself into. It's not easy. It is emotionally taxing. It's emotionally taxing. And it's not, we keep using the word like it's easy. And it is depending on the personality style that you have. But if you're not coming into it with a good perspective and a good understanding about what you're getting into, it's not going to feel good. And you're going to leave with some scars.
Again, like literally the best way to sum it up ever, out of all the guests. That's exactly right. Like you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it on that career. And what makes me sad is like hearing like, your story and talking to you and knowing you as well as I know you. I really feel like corrections lost a lot when you left, because it's people like you that need to be in that career. It's people that have your perspective, that have your heart where it is in the right place to do the right things. They need more people like you in corrections. And sadly, people like you do leave because there is that shift work. There is a little bit of inflexibility on, like what you need for your outside life. Like again, Keeks is another one of them. Great friend of mine, love her, same thing, left because it just didn't fit her lifestyle anymore.
Yep.
And it's so sad because people like you guys are the ones that we need in there doing that work to make sure that it is being done properly and it's being done for the right reason. And it's being done because we have that desire for it to be done in the right way for the right reasons. And so, yeah, it makes me sad that you're gone. I'm happy that you're happy and that you're happy for, where you're at with your life and you've been able to spend all of this last time with your kids and do all that stuff. But I'm sad for corrections that we lost you. So, if
Vicki,
you ever...
that means the world to me. That means the world to me. Thank you so much for saying that. Because when you leave, you always wonder, did anyone care? Did anyone really, whatever? Because I definitely felt it when you said that you were leaving, and I feel very much the same about you. I feel like you did some really great stuff at the Remand, and I feel like even though you and I are very happy with where we are, if things hadn't played out the way they did, and maybe if there was a little bit more flexibility, I do think I would have stayed in the jail. And I think if maybe a few things had changed differently for you, I think you would still be there. And I think you'd be running that bitch in like 5 years time. And so I think that they suffered a big loss when they lost you as well.
Oh, thank you. Everyone at the jail's like, thank God she's gone. They're like, dear
Fuck
God,
them.
don't ever let her run this place. Fuck that.
Damn, Nikki.
Babe, I love it. Well, it has been an absolute treat to have you on the show. Thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing all the information that you shared. Because you shared like a lot of really good, like tangible shit just about like the job and the work that we do and the things that, take place on a day-to-day basis. So thank you for that. Do you have any last words for the listeners?
No, I just want to thank you, Nikki. I want to thank you for riding my ass and getting me on this podcast, because there's a little part of me where I'm like, I don't know, I've been out of the game a long time. I don't know if I should be in there. I don't know if it's a good spot for me to even talk about. And yet here we are. And it has been such a whirlwind of an hour. I can't even believe we've been talking for that long. It has been so much fun. And I've listened to your podcast. I selectively choose because you have a lot of episodes. God love you. And there's a couple of really good ones that I've listened to. And I think you're putting out some really great stuff. And you are building some amazing networking with people in like so many different areas. It is a mind blow. So to the listeners, this gal is the shit. She speaks her truth. She doesn't sugarcoat shit. And stay tuned, because she's gonna keep killing it. So that's my takeaway.
Oh my God, girl, I love you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in, listening, giving me your time, your energy, and your attention. I completely appreciate it. Make sure you check out our next episode with another badass female first responder anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at bluelinefitnesstesting.com. I hope you stay safe, keep your head on a swivel, and watch your six.